Guy? Hey, dude. Hi. Hi. What are you doing? Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to a new vlog. Let's go and start with my Kobo. So I'm going to scroll down to the oldest book on my Kobo and I'm going to read it or delete it. So let's see what it is. Today's book is The Etched City by K.J. Bishop. I don't know what this is. Okay, it's got a 3.67. It is 382 pages. What genre is it? This is a weird fantasy steampunk sci-fi. Interesting. Gwen and Raoul are rebels on the run, with little in common except being on the losing side of a hard-fought war. Gwen is a gunslinger from the north, a loner, a survivor, a killer. Raoul is a wandering surgeon, a healer who still believes in just and lost causes. Bound by a desire to escape the ghosts of the past, together they flee to the teeming city of Ashermoyle, where Raoul plies her trade among the desperate and destitute, and Gwyn becomes bodyguard and assassin for the household of a corrupt Mangate. There, in the saving of taking of lives, they find themselves immersed in a world where art infects life, dream, and waking fuse, and splendid and frightening miracles begin to bloom. Interesting. Okay. And then we've got the tarot card prompt, so I might take a break to go feed the birds because it's getting close to their feeding time. Okay, we're just going with this one. We've got the Hanged One, and the prompt for the Hanged One is Spotify. Oh god, okay. What did I last listen to on Spotify and what is similar? Spotify is going to determine my book. Okay, my library, home. How do I find out what my last song was? Okay, recent song was Ritual by Icana, Pop and Dyer. Okay, I am going to figure that out later. I don't have time to do that right now. That's a bit more thingy. I'll just pick some words or some books that suit the tone. I'll have a look. I'll have a little play. These will be my options for a ritual that I think fit and suit from my TBR. So that's going on there. I am going to my mum's birthday party today. So we're just going out for dinner and I've gotten a lot of books in. So I did a library haul. So let me quickly go through them. Hold on. Okay, we're going to go through these real quick. Yeah. So we've got Magus of the Library by Mitsu Izumi. So this is a manga. And then we've got Goth Parenting, The Dark Joys of Raising Baby Bats by Casey Gilly and Robin Robinson. I'm probably going to go on to this one next because I feel like it. In Late Summer by Magdalena Blazevic, translated by Andelka Raguts. We have West of Wicked by Nikki St. Crow. Oh, I'm probably going to go into this too. Weavingshaw by Hiba al-Wasiti, because this has been quite popular. We've got this massive book. This is called Cat by Faden Press because, you know, I'm making my way through their collection. We've got Weird Plants by Chris Thorogood. Has that been like that the whole time? We've got The Book of Fallen Leaves by A.S. Tamaki. We have King of Ravens by Claire Sager. Mocha the Cat and His Forever Family by Nigotaro. Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker. And Psychoactive Plants and Fungi by Thames and Hudson Liam Engel. So those are some books that I hauled today and I will see you soon.
Hey, that's what's weird. Personality, and I guess the personality so good. It's so crap. What the heck?
The butter?
Yeah.
No.
It's an even though, not like.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear grandmama. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Make a wish. Yay! Feijoa seeds and got such a big amount. Bro, the fog. So can you see the fog? Can you see it? So foggy. Hello lovelies, I don't have much reading updates. I did start reading Weavingshaw by Heba al-Wasiti, but I'm only a chapter in, so it's still early days. Oh, I don't think I even said what this is about. So it says, Lena didn't believe in monsters until she saw Weavingshaw. The saint of silence trades coin for every sordid divulgence uttered to him. The darker the secret, the higher the price. And Lena has a secret, one that's haunted her since she was 17. She can see the dead. When her brother falls ill, she has to seek the saint. But her secret is more valuable to the saint than she could have imagined, and to save her brother, she must make a deal with him to find the ghost he's been searching for. And all paths lead to Weavingshaw, a cursed estate on the moors. So we'll see how it goes. Sumptuous Gothic, sharp and haunting. The price to enter is your darkest secret. So yeah, just started that, and I probably will bust this out today since it's so itty bitty, so cute. Tomb, sweet tomb. I am heading out today, so I've got, so Mum's birthday was lovely. It was yummy. I am exhausted though. I'm feeling a bit run down, to be honest with you. My God, I really hate this French. Like, what can I do to make it better? Nothing. Yes, I'm feeling a bit run down, but I already had things today, so I've got another doctor's appointment. I have to go to that, and I'm catching up with my former school friend, whom I haven't seen since my birthday party in November. We are just going to be going to brunch, so very easy peasy. But yeah, I'm feeling quite exhausted, so I think I do need to take a break and not leave my house for a few days so I can recover. But I've got a guy coming to in like 15 minutes to give me a quote on the tree trimming. So I've been told I need to cut all the trees away from my gutters and roof to stop rats going into my roof. So yeah, I've got a lot of trees. It's like, it's a blessing to have so many trees, but also I'm not looking forward to that invoice, but it is what it is. And hopefully I'll be able to sleep better knowing that the rats aren't chewing through wiring and things. I got lucky that they only chewed through the wiring for my ducted heating and not something else that could have caused a fire or something more expensive to fix. So they've got to find another home, bruh, not this one. I also might go to the library. There is a book that's come in. I might get it. I don't know. We'll see. I might not. But that's all, folks.
Very annoying.
Go for it. No, don't worry. What did you end up getting?
The falafel on some hummus looked like... We felt like Sunny Birdie. Sylvie's favourite's a bird. I always like all of them. Good job, Blue. Where's the birdie? She's sitting on it. Where is it? She's sitting on it. Hey, where'd it go? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hello, my lovelies. I have an update. So I read Goth Parenting by Casey Gilly. This is basically a very loving, spooky guide to raising tiny humans while staying true to your black goth heart. So it follows a more like alternative parents viewpoint through all of the chaotic milestones of raising tiny baby bats, like toddler tantrums and their school age weirdo phases. And it does it with kind of like dark humor, but it's mostly endearing because of the really fucking cute illustrations and just the loving tone. It's very light-hearted and fun, and it's just filtered through the goth aesthetic. So think like sort of, graveyards and Halloween and references to Edgar Allan Poe and a lot of goth music and horror and pop culture references. I love this little nod to The Crow, for instance. And it's pretty much beneath all of the gothness, it's just an ode to raising children with kindness and respect and creativity, and most of all, individuality, even if they end up being more of an Edith to your Wednesday. So I ended up giving it a 4 stars. I thought it was cute. It's just very simple. I wouldn't say it's highly informational in terms of like, help, I'm a new parent, what do I do? But yeah, it was a fun time. I am now 63 pages into Weavingshaw by Heba al-Wasiti. So this is I think this is supposed to be a gothic fantasy romance. But it's about a woman who can see ghosts. I see dead people. And that is her biggest secret. And she makes a bargain with the guy that wants to buy everybody's secrets. He's giving Tyrion, is it Tyrion Lannister? The smallest Lannister, that guy. And yeah, she barters with him because she's got a very sick brother. So there's this sickness that goes around and her brother's currently sick with it and she needs the medicine to save his life. And so she's like, here's my secret. But this guy's like, I can use you. I need you to find a specific ghostie for me and let's make a bargain. Let's make a deal. So she makes a deal with him. And yeah, she's not only got more of her own secrets, he seems to have a fuckload of his own. So I don't know if he's going to be the love interest. I'm assuming he is. At the beginning of the book, when she's going with him because he wants to test that she's the real deal, that she's not a charlatan, he takes her to a prison where her father is actually one of the prisoners there. She doesn't get to see him though. She's also an immigrant, so there's a lot about immigrants and warring cultures and states and politics, bit politic heavy in this. Racism obviously comes into play, but he takes her to a prisoner, this emaciated, clearly tortured prisoner. Their prison system ain't ethical, and he's apparently, allegedly, in for killing his business associate. And when she goes to this guy's cell, she sees that there's a ghost in there, and so she describes the ghost to the Saint of Silence, and he says, ask him who really killed him. She's like, well, they can't talk. The ghosts can't talk to her. They just scare her with their horrendously grotesque faces. And so he says to her, ask him to point to the person who murdered him. So obviously we're assuming he's going to point to the guy that he's in the prison cell with. But no. He points to the Saint of Silence. And she's like, oh, so you killed that guy and set this guy up for his murder. Great, that's who I'm working with. So she's trying to be as wily as she can, but, she's going up against a guy that's at the top of his game. So far, I am intrigued. I am finding it interesting. So we'll see how it progresses. Like I said, I'm only 63 pages in. And look, I understand her motivations and I quite like her as a character thus far. The only way to protect herself is she has to every single night put a circle of salt around herself to keep the ghost physically away from her. And I'm just like, I remember when I watched The Sixth Sense and I thought, oh my God, I would rather die than have to constantly have fucked up ghosts in my face 24/7. Oh my God, just the horror. That was quite horrific to me. I was generally creeped out. I think when I first watched that film, there's not many like horror films these days which freak me out and have me thinking about them too in bed later that night. Yeah, it's giving more Sixth Sense situation than The Ghost Whisperer. I'm having a bit of a flare up, so my voice is going in and out. But yes, I've got Weavingshaw, but I've also gotten the ebook in for Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinnerman. This is the 8th book. One sec. Hopefully I sound a bit better. This is the 8th book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And in it we follow Carl and Donut, a talking cat, well, Princess Donut, and they are some of the few remaining human survivors on the planet when an alien species came and decimated most of it and then plunged the majority of the survivors into a dungeon level game where they have to compete and fight to survive. And if they survive a certain number of levels, they can buy their freedom to a certain extent. Obviously, it's rigged, it's manipulated. There are people who have a lot of money, who are influencing things and being just absolute miscreants. I don't want to say exactly what this one is about because like I said, it's in the thing, but there's just lots of RPG elements. So that's role-playing game. So you'll get like loot information and level ups and boss fights and things like that. So if you like video games, I think this is for me, out of all the out of all of the lit RPG books that I've read, this one incorporates it the best. This is my favorite out of all those. So if you want to try a lit RPG book, I would recommend starting with Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yeah, it's got bro-y humor, so some women might be offended by that or not like that, which is totally understandable. I'm able to look past it because I just really love the characters, first and foremost. and I love the story. It is just one of those series that as soon as I start reading, it is very hard for me to put the book down. And these books are like 700 to 900 pages long, but I just want to devour them in one sitting. They are addictive. And we're at the point where Carl and Donut and their team, because there's a big found family aspect in these books, have just orchestrated something that no other players in the universe have ever done. This is possibly a game-changing, universe-altering event. So it's like, oh, okay, this is it. This is like the turning point, what's going to happen. It's not going to keep just following the same level up game script. So I'm excited to see what happens. But it has, because the games are televised, so people love to watch whatever species it is, what planet they're on, try to survive. You know, it's like Survivor and Gladiator Galaxy Edition. But I just always have a really fun time with these books, and Matt Dinnerman has killed off some characters that we love, so they're not afraid to kill off your darlings. So we'll see how this goes. So I am more than excited. Like, I am absolutely chomping at the bit. I've also got an audiobook in called Fruit Fly by Josh Silver, and supposedly this is giving gay yellowface. So you have an author named Meek May, is it May? I think that was her name. And she had a one-hit wonder, and the pressure's on to deliver another great book. And it opens up with her in bed at night with her sleeping husband next to her who's a bit more successful. They've found quite a lot of success. And she has this idea to go on Grindr. And she, because everyone's like, go gay, gay's in, gay's hot. I probably just put in the clip of Laszlo, but that is pretty much the vibe in the literary scene. So she's like, I've got to get in on the gay. And she's like, yes, queen, slay. And she's so fucking cringe. She is so goddamn cringe. But she decides to go on Grindr. So she takes photos of her naked sleeping husband, justifying to herself why it's fine. Well, they're married. It's not a big deal. So it's giving yellowface in her, just justifying all of the horrible, messed up shit she's doing in order to get the story out. So she goes on there and she ends up being invited to a tea party. And I'm not going to be the one to pop your tea party cherry if you don't know what that means in gay lingo. But she goes to the tea party fucking delusionally. I'm just like, woman, you're going to rock up as a woman with a fucking picnic basket of food to a gay tea party that you're invited to from Grindr. Oh my God, like, she's batshit fucking insane, lost the plot, but at the same time, that's entertaining to read about. So she rocks up, and when she rocks up, she sees an altercation between this man who was bringing drugs and the people at the party, and she ends up intervening and saving this homeless, sex-working gay man's life. And I'm assuming that she's going to appropriate his story and justify it, that it's what's her story, but this is a story that needs to be told, but she's not really stealing his life. She's just helping to give it a voice and give it a platform, you know, yellowface stuff. So we'll see how we go. I might get tired of the drama. I'm not a huge, like, sort of more contemporary drama person, and this is a decently long book. Well, I've got an audiobook of it, and it's 12 hours long. So I don't know if I might finish this book. At the moment, I'm still interested and intrigued, but our main character is just the worst. The worst. So yeah, we'll see how we go with that one. But that's what's on the docket, and I'll see you guys soon.
What a cutie.
So it's been a week since I last filmed because I am tired. And I am tired because I have not been sleeping. And I have not been sleeping because the machete gangs are back, son.
Surprise, bitch. I bet you thought you'd seen the last of me.
They actually robbed my ex-boyfriend. So he lives nearby. And while he and his brother were sleeping, they broke into his house, they took his car keys, and they stole his car along with his work equipment that was in it. So pretty much every single time my camera goes off, I am waking up and going into the app and checking the camera to make sure it's not machete gangs. And unfortunately for me, I do have a wildlife parade that likes to go into my garden. So fortunately, it has not been them. Unfortunately, I have foxes, cats, dogs, possums, rats, you name it, going past my house and triggering my camera about 14 to 20 times a night. So I'm waking up 14 to 20 times a night and going on my phone, and you can imagine what it's like. So it is fucking me up. But when my kids go to their dad's this weekend, I'm just going to turn it off and go to sleep. And yeah, it's just when my kids are home, I want to be alert, because unfortunately, I would like to think that they wouldn't hurt any of us if they did break in, but they did machete an 8-month pregnant woman's leg when they broke into their house, and she screamed, "Please don't hurt me, I'm 8 months pregnant," and they still. So, and in that invasion, one of them had a gun, and the husband ended up wrestling the gun off them and shooting them, and now he's going to court. And I'm like, I believe that if people break into your house with weapons and they try to use those weapons against you, you should be allowed to use whatever force is necessary to prevent harm or death coming to you or your loved ones. I don't think anyone should be tried for murder if they murder an intruder that's come into their house with weapons, especially with that intruder's own weapon that they brought into the house. So I'm hoping, like, that dude who's trying to protect his 8-month pregnant wife and unborn child, that the jury just acquits him of all charges, because yeah, no, you don't accidentally break into someone's house with weapons and then use those weapons on the people in the house, you know? So yeah, I am very tired from not sleeping, but we must persist. So I have read a lot. I'm going to finish the vlog off here because obviously it's been a week and I've read a lot. So let me tell you what I've been up to. Oh, I also watched Off Campus because it's, you know, it's doing the rounds. I thought, okay, let's have a look. I'm not reading the romance books it's based on. That's not my genre. But the show was decent. Obviously, I'm very much into Ellie and Dean. They are my favorite couple and they are adorbs and they've got great chemistry. So yeah, I will probably be watching the next season. It's not as hot as Heated Rivalry. I was expecting something as steamy, but I don't think it is as raunchy as Heated Rivalry personally, but it was fine. I was reading Etched City, which was one of my pulls. As soon as I started reading it, I'm like, I've read this fucking book before. I have absolutely read this book, obviously before I was logging on Goodreads. And then I thought to myself, oh, it doesn't bode well that, one, I didn't remember that I'd read it before, two, that even now I remember reading it, I don't remember how it ends or if I liked it. So it was a bit of a gunslinging Western spiced fantasy. And when I say Western spice, Western tinged. There was no spice that I'd read at this point, because I did end up DNFing it. I was just like, what's the point of this book? Is there a plot? What is happening? Why are we switching POVs? It just wasn't working for me, so I did DNF it, and now it's logged as DNF, so I will never pick it up again accidentally. And then I picked up Weavingshaw by Heba Al-Wasiti, so I ended up giving this a 3.75. So I think I've already spoken about this, but essentially it deals with demons and ghosts from your past and keeping secrets. That's the gist of this one. For me, it was pretty much like a cookie cutter romantasy, so all the reveals were rather predictable, and I felt like it was very drawn out and exposition heavy. I don't think this needed to be part of a series. I think if they had tightened it up, it would have been an absolutely fine standalone. I am not going to be reading the other books in the series. It felt to me very YA, and I also didn't feel like it was Gothic, which I think it was genred as. The most interesting character to me was Mrs. Van. I did like the demonic element in this, but this was just a very standard romantasy. Like I said, 3.75. I still enjoyed my time. I'm not interested in continuing on with this series though. Then I picked up Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. So I had previously soft DNF'd this because it had come into my library as an audiobook first, and I wasn't enjoying it. So I thought I'm going to wait until the physical book comes along, that was the better choice for me personally. I did give this a 4-star rating. So this is about this very brutal girls' academy where they train women to become assassins, and they're called kindnesses. That's what they call these women. And they're these very near mythic instruments of vengeance. And we have our main character, Rue. So Rue is an elderly woman when the book opens up, and her village has been brutally massacred, like absolutely annihilated, and she is fighting back, and then she gets killed and then brought back by what we believe is the Morrigan. And she's like, well, justice must be served, because we know that Rue is a former kindness, but we don't know who she is, because we get these flashbacks between present day Rue going on her vengeance campaign and past kindnesses girls who are at the academy and slowly being killed off because, look, I had a lot of issue with the academy. It was unnecessarily violent. Like, they would kill girls for just absolutely trivial shit, just not knowing the answer to a question. They're like, okay, well, you're going to go sit in a cage and starve to death and be pecked to death by birds or what have you. Or one girl was just like, rocking back and forth in her chair. So the instructor pushed her backwards, so her skull cracked and she died. And I'm like, why though? Like, I can understand they're trying to hone these women into weapons of righteous anger and fury, but you don't need to kill them. You can, all right, if you want to use abuse and torture to make them not want to fuck up, all right, but straight up murdering them makes no fucking sense to me. Most of these girls are sold into this place. Their parents are poor. They need the money. Some of them, though, sent their children there used to be kindnesses themselves, so that I don't understand. And then one of the girls also just sold herself. I think she was running away. She was running away from an abusive family, a bad situation. But just like I said, the cruelty didn't make sense to me. These women are supposed to function on this sense of superior morality, and that they are the judge and executioners of what they perceive to be wrongs. So I'm like, but murdering a little girl for getting a question wrong, that's okay. That's okay. You're a fucking hypocrite, my dude. That's what a hypocrite is. So they saw vengeance as his sacred duty, but like I said, their academy was just this living embodiment of punishment, of innocence. Those girls are innocents. So I didn't love that whole section. So whenever we went back to the academy, I was just like gritting my teeth, because the way that they were acting like they were almost divine beings of justice just made me want to barf. The survival of these girls through absolute brutality was also very hard to stomach. So it doesn't shy away from the violence. And for me, the ends didn't justify the means. I don't think the girls needed to be fucking drowned alive and shit because they couldn't pick a lock in time. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of these girls too just are filled with rage. You can imagine, after having been abused and suffering horrific ordeals. And Rue, it seems, left the order. She wanted to put all of that behind her and just have some peace in her old age. But unfortunately, she's been dragged back into it when these motherfuckers decided to mess with the wrong town. So I loved modern day Rue. I stand myself an old female protagonist that has had enough of this shit, does not suffer fools anymore, just wanted to be left alone in peace. But goddamn, if you fuck with her, you will suffer. She does not suffer fools gladly. And I love that kind of protagonist. It's my favorite. So I loved Rue. I loved too that even in her older age, she's still a force to be reckoned with, that being old doesn't mean that you are now useless and worthless, so to speak. How do I feel about how this book was executed? It started off with way too many POVs. So like I said, we're trying to figure out which girl at the academy is Rue. So we're getting POVs of all these different girls. It was just too much. And I felt like this book had too much filler, which dragged pacing. So it turns out this is going to be part of a trilogy. One of my biggest gripes is when stories are stretched out too thin in order to just fill multiple books. I would rather have one 800-page standalone with no filler, that's just a fucking epic 5-star read because of that, than have 300-400-page books that, like I said, have been padded out in order to stretch them out. That just shits me. So I don't love that this is going to be a trilogy. I'm like this about continuing on with it, to be honest with you. But I do like the story idea. I love the element of the Morrigan, so there's mythology and folklore. I love the necromancy that is in this book. And yeah, I like the story. I just don't love how it's being told, unfortunately. For instance, even calling them kindnesses and then their adversaries' cruelties, just it's kind of dumb to me. I didn't love kindnesses as the choice. The story does remind me a bit of Shadow of Gods and Gideon the Ninth. So I said, like, it's got elements that I really enjoy, but I'm kind of peeved that this is going to be a trilogy. So I probably will try the second one. And if I don't get into it quickly, I probably will just leave it behind. But like I said, loved Rue, and the idea is cool. But there is a lot going on. Excuse me, that's my stomach. There's a lot going on with this, but 4 stars. Then I picked up Weird Plants by Chris Thorogood, which I gave 4.5 stars. So this is a book that's filled with flowers that look like they belong on an alien planet, bro. If you told me these are earth plants, I'm like, was I born yesterday? Turns out I probably am born yesterday because I didn't realize we had plants like this on Earth. We've got different sections of plants. For instance, the first section is vampiric plants, and it starts off with parasitic plants, and the largest flower on Earth, which is 1.5 meters across and weighs 10 kilos, and it's called the Rafflesia. And is this not like the coolest fucking thing that you've ever seen? I was geeking out. Forget Venus flytrap. Meet the rat traps, otherwise known as the king pitcher plants. Like, there are some gnarly flowers and plants in this world, my dude, like scary stuff, and very cool. Just the way they look, so alien. I had a thoroughly good time. I loved the botanical illustrations of the plants. It was just enough information to whet my appetite without overloading me and making it feel like it's a school textbook. 4.5 stars. Had a fantastic time learning about these really cool plants. And then I picked up Magus of the Library by Mitsu Izumi, which I gave 5 stars. So this is a manga, and it's pretty much like Frieren meets Aladdin meets Full Metal Alchemist book nerd edition. That's the vibe of this book. You have a book-obsessed street rat with pointy ears named Theo, who gets swept into this magical world where librarians are basically badass, revered wizard scholars who champion stories and the message that books have the power to save lives, preserve cultures, and ignite destinies. So big theme in this is obviously the power and love of reading, and how when you become a reader, you further develop your skills of empathy and you increase your knowledge, and the idea of freedom and self-discovery that come with reading books. Reading literally in this story changes Theo's future and life. The librarians are also champions of that. No matter what your gender, age, race, creed, or class, everyone deserves access to books and knowledge and imagination. They are encouraging people to dream a little bigger, darling. The book has themes of belonging and prejudice. So the people in the town, which seem to be Middle Eastern descent, are racist against Theo, who is white with blonde hair and pointy ears. So I think that kind of like a reverse racism aspect might irk some people, but it's a magical world and Theo is a magical race. So I'm like, I get the point it's trying to make in terms of exclusion and class divides. like I said, knowledge as magic was very cool in this. So some books possess mana, and the librarians are able to perform certain magics, which was very cool. So far, all the librarians we've met are women. I gotta say, Sedona is a fucking baddie. Got a major crush on her. I love them. The book also contains really cool magical creatures, and I feel like this series is a fantasy for people who cried in libraries as children. This book did make me cry. There was this scene where there was a fire and Theo was doing something and it just broke me. I loved this book. Yes, it does have a lot of info dumping in the beginning, but like I said, it is magical, fierce warrior librarians spreading the word of reading and literacy and knowledge and wisdom and self-improvement and imagination and fantasy throughout towns where there's magical beings and there's a magic system. It's right up my fucking alley. Like Freyrin is my favorite. Freyrin is my favorite manga, and I was wanting something similar that I can also read while I'm waiting for each Freyrin installment to come out, and this scratched that itch for me. So I think if you love Freyrin, give this a go. Give this a go. I've just read the first book, and like I said, it did hit me emotionally. And then I read Cat by Phaidon Press, which I also gave 5 stars. So this is a collection of various artworks that revolve around cats. So you've got paintings, photography, jewelry, furniture, fashion, film from different time periods. But you also have contemporary cultural references like Nyan Cat and Grumpy Cat and Doja Cat dressed as a cat. So this was just a fun fucking time. You know that I am a cat lady through and through. I also love art. So this combined 2 of my passions together to go supernova. So this was amazing. I'm absolutely going to be saving up to buy a copy of this for my home. I flipped through it with my daughter Indiana, which was just a wonderful experience. We found an art painting that Indy instantly described as giving Valentine energy. So my 15-year-old and I would have to agree. So this is Valentine in art form as a cat, but wunderbar, was a wonderful experience. Then I picked up Self-Love Potions by Cosmic Valeria, illustrated by Marie Noelle Dumont. So this was the tarot card pull that I ended up picking for my Spotify option. So this is a collection of sort of plant kitchen witch recipes and spells and tonics and tinctures and bath salts. There's not much writing in this one. It is pretty much just, this is a recipe, this is what you do, here's a little bit about it. They mostly use a lot of flowers and plants and crystals and fruit in the ingredients. I wanted more illustrations, so I have a lot of this author's decks, so oracle decks, which I absolutely love and are gorgeously illustrated. So I was expecting more like that, but the illustrations were very simple. Yeah, it wasn't what I was hoping for, unfortunately. I will try though, however, the nasturtium pesto, because I have a lot of nasturtium plants. I plant them as companion plants for my fruit trees, and I've tried them in salads. It's fine, but yeah, I might actually try putting them in a pesto for some of the supposed energetic benefits. So I ended up giving that a 3.25. Then I read Psychoactive Plants and Fungi by Liam Engel. So this is a very beautifully illustrated world tour of the plants and fungi that humans have used to wake up, calm down, see visions, connect spiritually, survive hard labor, party, heal, and pretty much just question reality for thousands of years. It's got a lot of folklore, it's got a lot of anthology. I, however, love that it's also got a user guide. So I am not very pro war on drugs. I believe that most humans, almost all adults at some point in their lives, will at some point try recreational drugs. And you think, Chanel, no, they won't. Do you drink coffee? Do you smoke? Because babes, those are also recreational drugs. So, you know, pretty much every human on the planet will at some point try some kind of recreational drug. And I think the best way to ensure people's safety is to arm them with knowledge. I think if taking recreational drugs personally is not harming other people. People should legally be allowed to do that, but they should know how to do that in the safest way possible. Knowledge is power, and human beings have a free choice, so they should be given information that will hopefully increase the chances of a positive outcome. So, for instance, let's just go to my favorite recreational drug, which I use for therapeutic healing benefits mostly, which is psilocybin mushrooms. And this is how they format it. So it'll tell you the psychoactive effects. So we'll say main psychoactive compound is psilocybin. The secondary psychoactive compound is psilocin and aragonecin. We have psychopharmacological category. It's a psychedelic. Common effects: euphoria, empathy, stimulation, visual effects, mystical experience, nausea, muscle tension, confusion. Risks: anxiety, psychological sensitivity. Then it will go down into dosage. This is based on oral consumption of dried psilocybe cubensis mushrooms. So it'll give you different ones. It is putting the most common as 1.3 down here. It's got heavy 6.6, so I generally use 4.5 to 6.5 for my purposes, for my yearly trip to help me. But I always recommend microdosing to begin with. Always start small, my guys, and have people around you, have trip sitters. And I normally take psilocybe subberginosa. I never remember how to say that because that's what's local. And it says the duration. So the onset, the coming up, the peak, the coming down, and the after effects, which is also helpful to know. How long is this going to last? What stage happens when? They've got preparation and products, how to prepare it, and safety as well. And I think that is very important. And I'm glad this is an accessible way to get that information rather than just going on the internet and hoping someone on Reddit is being legit when they're giving you their advice. Like I said, some of these drugs, like for me, psilocybin, saved my life, and it is now being run in medical trials as a treatment for things like PTSD and depression and anxiety and OCD, along with other psychedelics and that. So the government was very heavy on, drugs are bad, okay, and don't do them, and making them illegal. And now it's like, well, weed can actually help people with arthritis and pain, and MDMA can help people with trauma and whatever else. So like there's actually therapeutic uses for these, and they can improve some people's lives, and some of them are not even addictive. And it's just, I felt like because the government wasn't making money off it themselves, but now, like I said, they are, with the pharmaceutical companies getting into some of these psychedelics, which they'll no doubt charge a lot for as pills and whatnot. And, cannabis has been legalized in a lot of places. I actually have a right to use cannabis because it was prescribed to me for some of my medical conditions. Cannabis and me, though, don't mix. None of the forms, not even the hemp seeds. I react badly to every part of that plant. It's just an inflammatory plant for my body. So like I said, everything is either a panacea or a poison. What's a panacea to me might be a poison to you. Like I said, psilocybin is my panacea. It was my miracle drug. And I loved the way that this book was done. Like I said, it was absolutely just beautiful. It's got this gorgeous, more like rough texture paper. I love the botanical illustrations. I love the way it was formatted. I love that they, like I said, did some historical history along with the plant. This was a fantastic book. It's a 4.75. I loved it. And I am, like I said, pro educating people with knowledge, with enough information for them to make informed choices and allowing them to do so. I mean, alcohol is not illegal. If you look at how much alcohol has destroyed lives, it kills people, not only through the poisoning of the body, but through the actions of people who are inebriated and actually do kill people, either manslaughter accidentally, or was driving a car, or alcohol-induced rages and they kill people. So that's legal, but then other things are not. So where's the line, my bro? Where's the line, But also too, maybe if people have more access to more different types of plants that could help them, maybe they'll be like, you know what, instead of trying heroin, I might try this first instead, you know? I don't know. It's a bit of a touchy topic, I think, but like for me, yeah, I'm pro-choice and knowledge if it does no harm to others, pretty much for everything. So those are all the books I read. Let me sum them up for you. I read Goth Parenting by Casey Gilly, which I gave 4 stars. Tiny bats grow up so fast. Weavingshaw by Heber Al-Wasiti, which I gave a 3.75. She sees dead people. He monetizes emotional damage. Then I read Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence, which I gave a 4 stars. Local grandmother responds to conflict with insane levels of violence. We then have Weird Plants by Chris Thorogood, which I gave a 4.5 stars. Freaky Dicky Flowers. Magus of the Library by Mitsu Izumi, which I gave 5 stars. Books Save Lives. Also, Sedona is a baddie. Cat by Fade and Press, which I gave 5 stars. Am I going to say this is my favorite? Yeah, this is my favorite book of this reading vlog. Art Pussy Galore. Self-Love Potions by Cosmic Valeria, which I gave a 3.25. Come for the Witchcraft. Stay for the emotionally supportive tea blends. And Psychoactive Plants and Fungi by Liam Engel, which I gave a 4.75. Psilocybin saved my life. Instead of say no to drugs, let's educate properly. Those were all the books I read for this reading vlog. Let me know what your favorite childhood book was that got you into reading. And if you don't know what to comment, but you want to let me know you were here, give me a mushroom emoji. And until next time, stay wild, Star Child.